Hello, Namaste, good morning, and welcome to yet another episode of the Young Science Leader series. And I'm Felix here. I am very privileged to welcome our first speaker of the day, the Young Science Leader, Dr. Bikas C. Das. Dr. Das is working as Assistant Professor at ICER Trivandrum, that is Institute of Science, Education and Research in Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram. Dr. Bikas hold the PhD from IACS, that is Indian Association for the Cultivation of Sciences, very prestigious institute in Kolkata, which recently won Bhatnagar Award as well, and Jadavpur University in Kolkata, and the mentor was Professor Amlan J. Pal. And because he's working with the quantum dots and organic semiconductor-based memory devices, scanning, tunneling, microscopy, and his hobbies include listening music and swimming. So thanks, Dr. Das, for being part of our YSL family. We are really privileged to be with you today, and we are really excited to hear your story of the day. And here with me, Ms. Komal Pandey is going to be the co-moderator of the today's session. And Ms. Komal is from Uttarakhand, a place called Haldwani, and she is a BSc chemistry student. Over to Komal.
On behalf of the YSL family, I welcome all the panelists here. I welcome Sir. It's a great opportunity for all of us to have you here with us. And it will be a delightful experience for all of us to share, to listen, to get a chance to listen to your journey from your perspective. And Sir, please go on. Over to you.
Okay, thank you for the introduction. First, I will share my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yes, it's perfect, Because go ahead.
Okay, so I first want to thank Dr. Felix and Dr. Nitin for giving me this opportunity to talk about this forum. And I used to call this talk as my journey of becoming a faculty at IJR Thiruvananthapuram. So, So we used to call our laboratory as Emerging Nanoelectronic Devices Research Laboratory, in short, ENDR lab. And we are mainly working on device physics. And as it is mentioned in the introduction, I'm an assistant professor in School of Physics at IJR Thiruvananthapuram. So before going to the main portion of my talk, I want to introduce what is IJR first. Actually, IJRs were established by MHRD, Government of India, to bridge the teaching and research in undergraduate level in our country. And in that respect, IJR Thiruvananthapuram was founded in 2008 at the vicinity of Vitura and foothills of Ponmudi Hills, about 40 kilometers away from Thiruvananthapuram. We have all four major streams: physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. And one of the major program in IJRs is BSMS program. It is 10 semester long program, duration 5 years. And students can admit through 3 channels. So first one is KVQI, organized by IISc, and that application portal is still open, and that deadline is 19th October 2020, and exam on 31st January 2021. Another channel is JEE Advanced channel. Okay, so that is general categories of rank within 10,000 can in common rank list can apply. And the major channel to enter IJR is the state and central board channels. We will organize every year IJR admission test. Okay, and through that we'll take students. Okay, for BS and MS program. And we also have integrated PhD program that is 7 years long. After graduation, you can apply or through different channels like JAM, JEST, for biology, like JJ Bills. So different channels, school-wise, different channels are there. You can find all the details, the link provided here. We also have a PhD program that is 5 years long, and admission opens 2 times every year, August. And I missed integrated PhD every year we take in August only. And all the related information for PhD program, you'll find the link mentioned here. We also offer postdoctoral research summer visiting program during June and July on every year, and international student exchange program also we have. This year we have introduced a few more disciplines that is called I² science. So that is integrated and interdisciplinary sciences. All four are there: biology, chemistry, mathematics, physics. We also included another stream called data science from this year. And we have total 80 seats for these integrated and interdisciplinary sciences among all schools. So this is totally IJR Thiruvananthapuram specific. Okay. So these are the story of our IJR's admissions and our academic activities. So now I'm coming to the academic, my academic journey or profile. First, I'm holding position here at IJR Trivandrum, as I mentioned earlier, as an assistant professor at School of Physics, IJR Thiruvananthapuram. And I also served as assistant professor at Department of Physics, Holdia Government College during 2019 to 2012. After that, I visited National Institute of Nanotechnology, University of Alberta, Canada. Then I moved for my second postdoc at Pennsylvania State University, USA. After completing that postdoctoral research, I came here to join as assistant professor. I completed my PhD in physics from Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science, Jadavpur, and award actually I have received from Jadavpur University, because that ICS is not an university that time. I completed my MSc from Rajavarja Science College under University of Calcutta. BSc I got from Vidyasagar College in Calcutta. Higher secondary in a school called Kalinagar High School, that is actually 40 kilometers away from my native place in North 24 Parganas, West Bengal. And I completed my secondary education from Mahesh Chashada Vidyapith, that is located at my native place, Bashanti, South 24 Parganas, West Bengal. I'll come one by one and reverse chronological order to explain all this journey more elaborately. First, I introduce my research group at IJR Thiruvananthapuram. Presently, I have 7 PhD students, all of them working in different areas. Okay, so this is Anjusri, Sri Krishna Sagar, Sandhya, Liti, Arko, Navneet, and Sahat. Sahat joined just this year. We will work on neuromorphic devices. So, and also I have 4 major students. They have that major student means they are physics major students, and they will also work in 4 different areas according to their choices. And alumni, I can mention, I am working here almost 5 years. So many major students work with me, and most of them are well established now doing PhD. So Sharat is doing PhD in IISc, Preeti is in Notre Dame University, Devika and Arya is in University of California, Mars, and Shweta is IIT Monash program, Anubhav is in Nottingham, and Shruti, she was minor students from chemistry. She is in FAU, Germany now. Okay, so this is the research profile according to Isaac TBN. Okay, so now I am mentioning few critical aspects as mentioned by Dr. Felix earlier. So among them, I'll introduce a couple of them through my research journey. Okay, so critical thinking, group communications, risk taking, mentoring, teamwork, decision making, women in science, and lab culture. I will cover these points as much as possible. Okay, so this slide I prepared 25th November. And when I was preparing this slide, this news came, and they are saying carbon dioxide in Earth atmosphere reaches record high. And this reporter is not taking this mask because of corona, because that time there was no corona. So because of pollution, this reporter took this mask to protect her. Okay, and this is a very concerning factor for our atmosphere. Okay, and that is actually occurring because of linear economy. Presently, we are going through linear economy, which results pollute. Okay, so pollution is a major concern for our atmosphere or future generation. And this is the carbon dioxide share for country, which is mentioned in this diagram. Okay, so later researchers find that maybe circular economy, main thing is reuse, remake, and recycle, reduce that pollutant. But there may be other ways to reduce that pollutant. So our point is here, critical thinking is that how we can reduce that pollution, environmental pollution in other ways. So here we are seeing three things: light, heat, vibration, and radio wave. So these are the three things available in our nature. I will come at the end with some popular poet's song. Okay, so these are the main things. If we use them properly, so we can generate power. Okay, so we know the light can be used to generate voltage using photovoltaic devices. Heat can be used to produce electricity using thermoelectric devices, and vibration can be used to produce electricity for using piezoelectric material. And rectina, so probably you heard about, if you heard about Apple AirPod, so they are offering wireless charging station. So that wireless charging is actually happening through this antenna that is actually receiving electromagnetic wave and converting to DC current. And what about our regular activities? Everywhere, this breeze, so that vibration, when you drive, the vibration is there. If you are residing at home, roof is open, some light will come there. So all our activities related to these four components. So if we able to make devices and produce currents accordingly, so that will save lots of natural gas and petroleum oil, which is the major concern to produce pollutant. Okay, and but if I'm thinking, okay, so in that way I'll generate alternate energy, so that may be some solution. But there may be other ways. So that's why I call this as a critical thinking. So what is other ways? We know there is a mobile power sources, battery, power banks people are now using regularly. Okay, so if we develop some devices, suppose we cannot think to operate our television using a battery. So in that respect, if I think to make some device which can operate, which can be operated through battery, so that will be a very useful technique. So suppose if you think, so Bluetooth transmitter, mobile phone, PC, and if you think about a computing system, okay. So in that case, if you see the power consumption needed per hour is for normal Bluetooth receiver is just 10 milliwatt. And normal our mobile phone needs 10 watt per hour. Normal PC by average is 100 watt, and a computing system needs large computing system needs like 10 milliwatt power per hour. But if you want to supply these powers using photovoltaic devices, so how much area of the device you need is for a Bluetooth receiver, you have to use 10 centimeter square size photovoltaic device. Similarly, for a mobile, you have to produce a solar cell of area 1 meter square. For a PC, you have to produce a solar cell of 50% efficiency of 1 meter square area to supply the power. And this is like for computing systems, in that case, you have to produce that level of power by using 1 kilometer square silicon photovoltaic solar cell. So that is a huge area. So if we able to reduce, but what is the main components of these technologies? So this is actually the transistor. So transistors are the cornerstones for any electronic circuits. So if we produce some transistor which actually can be operated at a very low voltage using very low power, so that may reduce the power consumption of all of these components. So this is the critical thinking in our research. So another thing, I'm not representing any of these companies, Samsung, Panasonic, Sony. I'm just telling in future the thin film transistor market actually is a very promising market, and it is predicted that by 2019 to 2014, the compound annual growth rate would be like 17.34%, which is huge. You see, from 2019 to 2024, it will increase huge. Okay, so that's why this technology would be a very promising to work on in future, because this needs low price. This will induce low price, increase demand of compact size because size will be less, low power consumption, and reduce weight of consumer electronic goods, and it will also solve another big problem like waste disposal problem. Silicon we have to recycle, that is a huge concern nowadays. Okay, so that's why that thin transistor market will be a very promising market very soon. Okay, so in that case, if we think about, because again we are calling this as a critical thinking. If you think about presently what about the mobile phone PC you are using, that is actually in that region 22 nanometer node. But below 22 nanometer node, we also have 14 nanometer, 10 nanometer, 7 nanometer nodes, transistors. But that actually needs higher power. You see, the 20 nanometer node is 0.9 volt. There is another new technology of transistor is called, it's in the research field, that is called field effect transistor, that operates at voltage 0.7 volt. Okay, so if we able to generate or produce or develop some transistor which can operate below 0.7 volt, that will be a very interesting technological development. So in that respect, so you see that this is the standard transistors. This L is mentioned. This is the node length, source to drain. That is actually reducing with time. You see, but there are the technologies called single electron transistor or carbon nanotube based transistor. But that is, there are some limitations. It cannot produce results long time. There is some deviation. So that's why new technology for reducing the operating voltage of transistor is necessary. Okay, so that's why in our facilities at ENDR lab, as I mentioned, Emerging and Electronic Devices Research Laboratory, we classified in majorly in 4 groups: thin film transistors, optoelectronics, 2D materials, neuromorphic devices. And these are the results which we have obtained in our lab. You see the operating voltage is below 0.5 volt, and that is just using standard transistor. We can replace this transistor we can replace present-day technology, CMOS, silicon-based technology, using our devices easily. No need further any further circuitry or any other components. Okay, so that is the advantage of this thin film transistor. We also call this as a steep slope transistor. This is a drain characteristic. This is a photovoltaic device characteristics, like current density versus voltage. And this is 2D materials. You can see a bilayer thick 2D material, and the dimension you are seeing 2 nanometer, 20 nanometer, that we can see easily using scanning tunneling microscope, which we have in our Azure facility. And another important aspect nowadays is the neuromorphic computing, which is alternative of which is equally important, like quantum computing, what is nowadays a hot topic. But neuromorphic computing is needed because we know that Japan already developed fifth generation society. So they are they are planning to monitor everything through a supercomputer. For that purpose, they are also looking for neuromorphic computing, that is analog computing. Okay, so we can make some devices, electronic devices, that can mimic our brain functions. That's why we call this as a memorization and erasing or forgetting. So that is possible to develop some electronic chip that will mimic our brain functions. So these are the major activities. I know I am not going to too much technical about that. I'm just briefing what we are doing at IJT Trivandrum. And in that respect, I will mention, so you see these Anjusri, Chandya, Liti, Aksha, they are contributing a lot in this research. That's why I call this slide related with flexibility, because you have to work together, so flexibility should be there. You have to work in diverse areas, so area flexibility you have to keep in mind. It also equally applicable for teamwork, and also women in science. So I hope they will be learning lots of things, and in future they will be the science leader, women science leader in our country. And lab culture, so we have to maintain a good lab culture. So in terms of high quality research results we have to produce, and which needs a good lab culture. So this is a very important slide. So now I'm coming to my the second postdoc. So I did my second postdoc at Pennsylvania State University. So this is that time that was the new building came up there, Material Research Institute. It has nanofabrication facilities. I did my second postdoc with Professor Shraman Datta. He is now in University of Notre Dame. I worked on steep slope transistors, designing using complex oxide thin film, and this is on my image inside Penn State clean room. Okay. Before that, I was in University of Alberta, and I did my first postdoc there with Professor Richard L. McCree. He's a very gentleman. I have learned lots of things from him. Okay, and he's very active. His group also very active now, and my office was there in National Institute of Nanotechnology, NIMT building. And recently they have developed some commercial devices using molecular or organic material, and that actually giving much better sound of guitar using that organic diodes. And they already produced some product in the market. They launched some product in the market which they are claiming better than the silicon-based transistor or silicon-based diodes. Okay. So before that, I was in ISCH, Kolkata, and Professor Amlan Jepal was my PhD supervisor. You see, this is my cover page of my thesis, and I got PhD degree from Jadavpur University, and I received this degree convocation 2011. And that time, the vice chancellor of that university was Professor Pradeep Narayan Ghosh. Actually, he was my teacher during my master's also. And this building, this is the ISCS building, and this is a very old building. And you know, I think I want to mention that here. This is the oldest research institute in India. It was established at 1876. And Raman effect, whatever you heard about, that is discovered in this institute. Okay. So regarding my decision, again, I'm calling this as a decision making because which after 10 plus 2, which stream I will go, that is a very important part. I'll go for JEE or I go for medical line, whatever. But that is a very crucial point to take some decision. So I took decision to go through standard academic line. So I admitted with the Bikas College in Calcutta with physics honors, and then I moved to Raja Science College in Calcutta. That is also a very old institute and well-known institute in Calcutta in science. Okay, I completed MSc in physics from this famous institute called Raja Science College. Before that, I did my schooling at a remote place called Kalinagar, and that school is around 40 kilometers away from my house. And that was also a big decision to take admission there. And you can see on this map that is close to Bay of Bengal and very remote area. So I am 40 kilometers away from home. So I went out from home that time, okay, to continue my education. And that was, I think, one of the biggest steps in my life to went that school, which actually give me the foundation stone to move ahead. Okay. So now I'm coming to my childhood and schooling. So I'm sitting at Isaac Trivandrum here, my native place around 2,300 kilometers away. The native place called Basanti, that is in West Bengal. Okay. So and if I zoom in further, so this is a like the islands of Sundarban, one of the islands, and this is the actual place I born in. Okay, that is called Maheshpur, Basanti. Okay, and this is one of the picture to go that place, and this is my childhood school. I completed my secondary from this school called Maheshpur Jasada Vidyapith. And I also want to mention the endless support from my parents. Still, they are supporting me. Okay, and I sometimes get lots of energy to work more from my daughter Cynthia. Okay, that also a very important point I want to mention in my life journey. Okay, and motivation. If I think a long time back, I have seen that image during my masters. I have seen this is a classical barrier, so if classical barrier is there, so no one can cross that. But there is a quantum barriers, so there is a probability to pass through. This is a major motivation in my life. And another important thing is that I inspired with some poem from Gitanjali by Rabindranath Tagore. So that is actually inspired me a lot. So it is saying we have everything: sky, light, body, life, and mind. So no need to worry about if God is denying something. That is fine. We have. He has given lots of things, even we have not asked for that. Okay. So this is the major motivation for me. Okay. And then I want to mention my research network. That is actually we have lots of international collaboration, and one of the major collaboration with University of Manchester. So Professor or Dr. Lezel Majewski from Electrical Engineering Department from Manchester University, we jointly work and we published a couple of articles also, research article. We have a collaboration with I have a collaboration with National Institute of Material Science. Okay, Dr. Nagata from NIMS. We have collaboration with him. Okay, and recently we started another collaboration with UT Australia with Professor Prashant Sanar. Okay, so this is our global network to continue or to enrich our research activities further. Okay, and this is my personal web page. You can come, you can see this web page, all the details related to our research activities, teaching activities, and our facilities. Everything you can find in my page here. Okay. Also, I want to acknowledge funding agencies which they have supported a lot for my research from MHRD, Department of Science and Technology, Science and Engineering Research Board, SAR, Indian and Nano Electronics User Group that is actually located in IISc Bangalore called SENS. We used to visit there to do some advanced research work here. And this is the JSPS. We have funding support from JSPS and DST. And I have a joint project with University of Manchester through UGC and UKD. Okay, and I also thanks all my group members, friends, and colleagues for their continuous support efforts. Okay, and thank you all for your kind attention.
Yes, Komal, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I must say it was an amazing, this was an amazing presentation and I really loved it. And the way, he has described or depicted all the phases of his life and the way he has, connected the audience and all of us to his journey and, the kind of ideology that he has, the philosophy. He derives optimism from literature. Like, as he mentioned, that he mentioned that, translated, there was some poem about from Rabindranath Tagore that I keep going and it happens. And I keep going because this is a process of self discovery. And here we need to keep going. It's not that we face hurdles. We have to take them as stepping ladders because this is something that we're going to explore about ourselves. And this is very important. So I think this is a very strong message given by Sir, and I loved it. And the way he presented and all the research institute that he mentioned, which has played a major role in the way he describes and the way he connects the topics that suppose there was this that topic that I studied in class 12th in physics, and the way he connected with the utilities and the devices was amazing. It's not that it was being over technical, but it was something that we need to know. And a lot of detailing can be done, and we need to be aware about all these things. And the presentation was amazing, I must say. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, it was really nice, Dr. Bikas. I completely enjoyed your life journey, and especially you're now at a privileged position of ICER Trivandrum, and also you're working on a frontier field of scientific research on the material sciences. So yeah, I mean, it was really inspiring journey, especially from your place in the rural West Bengal and all the way to different places all around the world, UK and the US and state Alberta, and way back to Trivandrum now in ICER, in a very prestigious institute. It's absolutely great. And also you're working on the field with lots of applications and lots of research, the promises, isn't it? The material science is one of the, definitely it's a frontier field and high impact field, I can say. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure today there will be a lot of questions, especially a lot of students who are actually into the physics, they love physics, and the material science is definitely a promising field for the young researchers as well as the students to pursue. And yeah, of course, in your life journey itself, you did say a lot of things about getting admissions in ICER, for example, KVPY, which is open right now. The October is a deadline. October 14th, I guess, is a deadline for the KVPY and also the ICE. Yes. Yeah, and yes, and ICER, the PhD program also you said. Overall, it is really a helpful talk. Really, on a empiricist point of view, definitely viewers got many new ideas and many new information from your talk. Thank you so much, Dr. Bikas. It's nice to have you here with us. With me, we also have Dr. Nitin for a few words. Nitin?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Vikas for a wonderful talk and congratulations for your impressive profile. And as Dr. Felix mentioned that you have nicely mentioned about the activities going on in ISER, Trivandrum. And apart from that, I would like to thank you for guiding 18 students in our virtual internship program, and it shows your passion about research. So many thank you and congratulations to you. And you are doing a wonderful work in the areas of TFTS, optoelectronics, 2D materials, and neuromorphic devices. So with these words, I wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you once again for joining this talk. Over to you, Dr. Felix.
Yeah, thanks, Nitin. Yeah, and it's amazing. Yeah, 18 students mentoring. It's it's not a small job. And thank you so much, Dr. Das. You did a fantastic job. And it's not like YSL. We are not getting anything out of it. We are doing all this work for the betterment of our nation. The nation's science building in the country, and you are fostering it fantastically. 18 students got benefited, and they are really lucky to have you as a mentor of their life. And we also initiated a new academy, Young Academy of India. And of course, all the YSL speakers are the fellows. Automatically, they are become the fellows. And we will also elect the new fellows. And the new announcement is now coming up. And I also liked your, final, the music, Rabindra Sangeet. It is amazing. I've been to Kolkata once. And in the streets of the Kolkata, I can actually feel that always the Rabindra Sangeet is playing on in the background. Of course I don't know Bengali, but yeah, it's so soothing. Sometimes I tune into the Rabindra Sangeet to relax myself. Yeah, it's Tagore and his philosophy is really on the top of India. I totally Rabindra Tagore is like he's like my mentor, I can say. The Gitanjali I read, and many of his philosophies, especially on nationalism and the rational living, that the Tagore has said so many things. I'm his big fan, I can say easily. All right, so now let us start with questions, and let me ask you one question to you. My first question is about Ukieri. Because you are also associated with UKIERI, a very prestigious, program. Can you say how do you manage to get the funding from Ukieri, and how a prospective young scientist would like to apply for Ukieri? What would be your your advice to her or him?
Okay, so this is just, you have to find a collaborator in UK, and that should be a complementary. You have to complement your collaborator. So in that way, you have to prepare a joint projects. Every year there will be a call from UKRI, okay, and you have to find your collaborator depending on that calls on, because the time I got, so that type of subject topics are not available now. That is a new terms they are adding every year. So you have, and this is a very time dependent problem they are describing on their calling. So you have to find a collaborator first in UK, and then you have to prepare joint projects, and individually you have to submit from Indian PI should submit in UGC or DST, and UK partner will submit to UKRI or British Council directly. Okay, so the preparing and the project, or the how you are probing the problem, that is very important. Okay.
So only the permanent faculties are allowed to apply, permanent scientists and permanent faculties, or can DST Inspire Fellows can also apply for this?
I don't think DST Inspire Fellow can apply for this.
Okay, good. All right, over to Ms. Pandey. You can start your questions as well as pick questions from our pool of questions from the YouTube.
Absolutely. I have many questions to ask today. Sir, I would like to ask you, let's suppose nanomaterial is a broad field. Suppose there are students apart from students in BSc Physics, there are students from BSc Chemistry Honors, there are students from instrumentation background, there are students from electronics background. How can they switch from their own field to material sciences to be very specific?
So
Please
I
explain the pathway for the same. Over to you, sir.
Yes, your question is very interesting. So whatever my journey I mentioned, if probably I have not gone through more details. So I did my master's in physics. Okay, so that time there was no semester, that was yearly, part one, part two, in that way in Calcutta University. So physics, I joined a research group in ISCH Calcutta, Professor Amlan Pal group, that is they are working in organic electronics. That is organic electronics means you have to know some chemistry. Okay. So then I worked on there. So chemistry means only just standard procedure, whatever we did in our BSc or something. We prepared the devices. But after that, when I went for my first postdoc with Richard L. Macri in University of Alberta, Canada, he's actually very big electrochemist. Okay. But he's working in molecular electronics. I'm sure there are lots of major physics researchers available in the globe who will not able to understand how much physics he is doing as an electrochemist. Okay, so there is no boundary nowadays. That's why in our ISERs, in ISER Thiruvananthapuram, we have designed a special course that is applied based courses that is I mentioned in my slide, I squared science, integrated and interdisciplinary science. That is actually we are focusing how we can reduce the barriers between different subject areas, and that is one of the major goal for our recent education policy that is called National Educational Policy 2020. Okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I will ask one question to you. So, can you name like what is the top one development in your field in the last 5 years? So the latest, I'm sure it's evolving field. If you want to say like one development that really caught your attention in your field.
So in that way, there is a big debate is going on between Samsung and Panasonic, that is quantum dot display. Okay, so that quantum dot display, what is came in the market, that is the base display they are claiming, and that is actually only doing by Panasonic. Samsung has no authority to use that, but they are also claiming they are using quantum dot display, but that is not actual quantum dot display. So this is the big breakthrough. And another point I want to mention, so US is running long-term research on called steep slope transistors. So that is actually needed to reduce the powers. Even we can operate our television using battery, a piece of battery. Okay, so that is still going on, but some development happened in that field also. Okay.
Over to Comer.
You mentioned about some courses that have been added. Can you just elaborate on the same, or you can just brief us about what all are there in the course or the curriculum? Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you. This is a very interesting question because this is a new course in India. That is entirely new. There is no course available like this in India. That is called I squared sciences. I squared means integrated and interdisciplinary. So we have major stream like biology, chemistry, physics, math. So we planned in such a way that so students can be benefited depending on, as I said, CAGP for thin transistor is very high now. Okay, so in that respect, we are designing the courses in such a way that the students can be trained for applied field for every major subject. Okay, so that's why we have selected the course structure in such a way. So students in either sorry. Students in ISER, they used to go through standard courses for biology, chemistry, mathematics, and physics in the beginning of their second 2 years. Then they can select the major courses. So first 2 years, so they have to go through physics, chemistry, biology, and mathematics. But if I say we have launched data science, but data science, they don't need chemistry. Okay. So in that respect, we are offering some additional courses. The students can come inside and they can prefer whatever they want, and finally they can select data science as major subject. Okay, you can find. I have provided the link. If all information is there. And if needed, you can directly contact me through me.
Absolutely, sir. Sir,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
please.
want to ask a question. Yeah, Dr. Vikas, can you name few topmost institutes or university in India where students can pursue their research or study in the physics? The topmost institutes.
Yeah, that is it is ISC Bangalore is the number one. TIFR is there. JNCSR is there. All IJRs are equally good nowadays. Okay, and the IIT Mumbai, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur. So even new IITs are also lots of good research work. It is not like old days. Nowadays, every institute is exploring very nicely for any research field. I have seen all new couple of new faculties I have seen from most of the IITs in a meeting, and all of them just came from abroad and they are working on diverse areas, starting from artificial intelligence to quantum computing. What is the prime goal for now? As we mentioned, quantum dot research is very interesting. But now, Government of India decided to focus on quantum computing, not quantum or quantum dot research or something like that.
Okay, and the next question is similar to that. What are the major challenges you are facing, in your field in terms of funding or anything,
So
and how you want to solve it?
yeah, that is a very important question, and at some point you have to face these things. I think this is a good question, but it is not that much discouraging, okay, to someone to stop research. If you have passion to take risk, okay. So it is in my beginning there was no funding, but I can mention as a new faculty I have lots of funding. At least 5 to 6 agencies they are supporting me, but we have to keep trying. Okay, there is a rate like people used to say, okay, 20 to 25% success rate will be there if you are submitting 100 projects, so maybe 20 or 25 will come out. But that also depends on fields also, research field on which you are working.
Okay, so my question to you, I think, my question is that you said the I square, very interesting. The ICER's policy of the integrated and interdisciplinary program. The only concern is, of course, coming to the length of the program is of 7 years for the integrated MS plus PhD. So basically, it's 5 years plus 2 years for the MS. So isn't the 5 years a bit longer for the PhD? I mean, it's typically the upper length is 5 years, but it's basically 3 to 5 years. For example, in the UK, the median is around 3 years. So, but in India, it is usually 5 to even 7 to 8 years. In the IAC and all, it's really long. That is, one of the roadblocks of the PhD program. So why is it like? Why don't we actually curtail it, focusing on the quality and make it 3 years? Is it possible? What is your thought about it?
Yeah, so that is actually very interesting and debatable questions also. Lots of debate is going on how to do that. So you mentioned integrated PhD, or so if I'm talking about integrated PhD, that is 7 years. So first 2 years for masters. Till now, we don't have any policy to provide master's degree only. If someone wants to go out, they have to go out with PhD, then they will get the degree, masters and PhD. That is for integrated PhD. But if we are talking about PhD, so mostly we will try, because I have now 7 students. Maybe tomorrow or maybe next year it will be 8 member group. So my focus is to give them degree below 5 years. Okay, but I know because I used to talk with my UK collaborator every 15 days. So it is like 1 hour long discussion every 15 days we have. So UK is facing the problem because people are prepared to go US and Germany. Okay, so Germany, if they are coming to UK, they have to spend lots of money for their degree. So that's why they are losing lots of good students. So that is one concern for them. But in terms of our educational system, I think below 5 years, if we take that, it's fine. 3 years, sometimes it will not give that much depth, in my opinion.
So I have another question to you. It's well, it's more or less like a personal question. Personal in the sense that my own nephew, he got very good rank in the latest JE. I mean, around 3,000 something. But the problem is that he loves physics, but ICER, the issue with ICER is that ICER is, you, as you rightly said, interdisciplinary work. So unless you know biology, he is not at all interested in biology. So he cannot even apply. So I think ICER is losing some of the students who are bright students who are who don't want to pursue on biology. So what is your thought about this, and is there any solution to this?
Still now we don't have any solution. Again, NEP 2020, we are saying interdisciplinary, if students can select a subject. That may be implemented, because I just is not giving that opportunity. But NEP 2020 is saying you have to give the flexibility. If students don't want to read biology, so you have to arrange your course in such a way that you can give degree without biology. So we have started that kind of discussion, but now there is no solution. But in my opinion, if someone is reading physics, I think 2 years the standard biology will not be a difficult. After that, I know the students who loves mathematics. Without mathematics, that students cannot imagine to continue the courses. And problems appears. Ultimately, he crossed that, and now he's one of the best student in mathematics department. Okay.
Okay, over to Komal.
Sir, I have a question to ask. Like, there are many students who appear for JAM or JE and who really wish to, go for ISER, but there are, due to some problems, if they're not able to get institute of their choice, like IITs, ISERs, what should be the deciding criteria, and what should be the kind of thought process that they should have in order to assist the kind of research atmosphere? Because you focus a lot of you focus on a lot of parameters, you do a lot of detailing that can be seen right from your slides. You focus on the research groups, you focus on the lab culture, you focus on the networking skills, and you're very you do a lot of intricate detailing. So what kind of approach should they have before going for a college, and before before taking a deeper dive into any field of their own choice?
Yeah, that is also a difficult questions to answer properly, because the thing is that it is related with lots of students, and you say they have JAM or they have JE. Okay, so we have students, because as I said, there are 3 streams for our BSMS program. They can come inside. One is ABPI, another one JE Advanced, and third one is state and central board exams. So our most of the students, maybe 90% students, are coming through the state board and central board students. Okay, and the rest of the students is coming 10% jointly by KBQI and JE Advanced. So through JE Advanced who are coming, they really wants to continue their career path through standard academic path. So if someone wants to do or someone wants to continue their careers through academic line, I will say no need to lose their hope. Okay, so the admission process, whatever, they have to improve their rank in JAM or JE. Okay, every institute had their own criteria. There is no cross-linking between, I'm talking about for integrated PhD and PhD, between either Pune or either Trivandrum or either Bhopal or either, there is no link between, everyone is doing their admission process independently. Okay, so whoever coming here, we are really doing in such a way that so best student we can offer, because we have a limitation of seats. We cannot offer everybody. So based on that, I will suggest you try your best to improve your ranks. Okay, definitely able to enter a good institute, a good lab. Okay, and there is nothing to lose if you continue your academic journey with high hope. Okay, because I have guided so many major students, and as a new faculty, when I don't have any lab, that time they joined my group. Okay, and that is that time they joined and they did some work, and presently they are in University of California, in Notre Dame University, very good university. They are sitting now, and they are doing a nice work. They started PhD work also there. Okay, so if you have passion, I also know that the presently Japan is focusing Indian students a lot because they know they have very good facilities. I have seen their facilities, but they are thinking Chinese students 90% is going there, and Indian students, if they are saying 1 lakh Chinese students is going per year, so there are 3,000 students from India is going to Japan. Okay, so they are looking very good number of Indian students. Okay, so if we are always looking for US, I don't think that will be one solution because everyone is looking for US. That will be a problem. You can explore Australia, New Zealand, Japan, in our India also, because nowadays going outside is difficult. Okay, so you can explore inside India to get a better life, and you can explore your capabilities here also. Okay.
Yeah, so adding on to that same question, so of course, ISER is one of the top institute for PhD students, at least in India. Everybody want to get into the ISER for a PhD. So, what is your advice for a prospective PhD student? And during the PhD interview, what exactly usually the ISER faculties are looking in a prospective PhD student?
So for PhD students, we used to every year we used to call 2 times. So we are calling through JAM, GATE. Sorry, not GATE, and CSR, UGC fellowship, Inspire. These or also some institute has their own fellowship. So in that way, if someone has GATE score, they can apply. During interview, we usually looks for how good in this particular. If someone is in physics, because it's strain to strain, it is different. Biology has no that classification, but physics has theory and experiment. Okay, so we'll give option. Okay, you want to do your PhD on experimental physics or theoretical physics. So at the time of application, they can select. Okay, I will go for experimental physics. So accordingly, we'll call them for a interview committee who can justify or who can verify the students' depth on the subject based on the experimental physics. Okay, so it is no need to worry. So whatever they know, they have to speak freely. Okay, whatever they know already. So it is not a very difficult interview. If you know that your BSc and MSc subject clearly in all streams, physics, chemistry, math, biology, there will be no problem.
Over to Dr. Nitin.
Yeah, my Dr. Nitin, mic is muted.
Yeah, unmute Nitin.
Yeah. So as we are approaching times, I just want your comment or view that what exactly, where you see yourself after maybe 10 years, or what is your vision? Actually, you are doing wonderful research and things, but where you see yourself after 5 years or 10 years?
So the thing is that when I came back from US, so that time I thought, okay, I'll make that kind of facilities in India. And after 5 years continuous efforts, so whatever the facilities I have done, my collaborator from University of Manchester, and he came inside my lab and first comment, oh, this is a very excellent facilities because this kind of facilities is difficult in UK. Okay. So in that respect, whatever the direction or support from our governments we are getting nowadays, I hope our research output will improve further, and I want to see my students are will be leading in different fields. That is my vision. So I don't want to comment about myself. I want to see my students will be well trained and will lead some industry or something, academic activities, whatever is possible.
So my question.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, my question to you would be, as this is a Young Science Leader series, so what is actually the qualities that you expect from a good science leader? And according to you, who are, can you name a few good science leaders, and who are your role models in science leadership?
From India, I can say Professor Navakant Bhatt. Okay, and another professor is Professor Ramgopal Rao, IIT Delhi director. Okay, My PhD guide, Professor Amlan Pal. Okay. These are the names, and also the Professor D.D. Sharma from IST Bangalore. Okay. Another senior is Professor Arindam Ghosh from IST Bangalore. Okay, so and there is lots of names are coming in mind. I think in India nowadays it is not like because nowadays we know who are doing what, and lots of people are there who are really contributing a lot for our science progress.
Okay, over to Ms. Comer. Final remarks, and if you have one last question, then go ahead.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask this because there was this pictorial representation where he talks about quantum approach and he talks about the classical approach. Classical approach is a conventional approach and quantum is like something which is unconventional. So what are your views about the same? Because you have been through a very completely, transitioning phase. So I would like to, because you talk about all those qualities and you have, described them and demonstrated through your work, which is very impressive. And I would like you to talk about that. How do you do that, or what is your philosophy on the same? Because you talk about group communication, you talk about cross-cultural collaborations, you talk about the lab culture, women in science, and there are many, initiatives that you must have taken to inculcate that kind of atmosphere there in your labs and your research group, and you must have imbibed the same from all those people with whom you have collaborated. So, what are your comments on that? Over to you, sir.
Okay, so the phase transition, whatever you told, I have to explain for your question properly. So I want to give you one example for my students, PhD students. So he's working on some problem. So and on that problem, we published one paper also. And a long time back, Professor A.K. Sood from IST Bangalore, he made some observation. Okay, these materials will show this property. Okay, so that is, he made the comments and he published a physical review paper, and my students read that. I also read that paper, and later when we did some experiment, we thought we are getting some different results. Okay, and my students said that, sir, this result is correct, whatever we are getting. And one paper, one scientist from US, or I forgot the exact location, they published that whatever we are getting, that is the correct. And what is the Professor A.K. Sood reported in that physical review paper, that is not the exact observation. So I told my students, okay, see, these are the two opposite observations. One you have to select which one is the correct, and all are published journals. Okay, so I told my students in such a, okay, you did this thing, and this is my observation. Whatever Professor Sood is saying from ISC Bangalore, that is correct. And later we found that that is the correct one. Whatever the article published now, because Professor Sood published that work long time back. Okay, and sometime back some people got result oppositely, but that result is totally wrong. Okay, so that is the transition. You have to convince people with your observation in such a way that you can support your findings. Okay, so in that way, I will say the phase transition is like that. We are in a phase to believe some research article, but later we came in a phase where we can strongly tell that, okay, this was wrong, this published result is wrong. So that kind of strength we have to get, or we have to produce among our student community.
Okay, so if I ask you one final message for the young researchers in the country, what would that be?
So there is nothing to worry about. Everything is, COVID will be over. So, and everything will be streamlined. Okay, educational system, I think mostly affected, but whatever the online educations we are providing, I think that is also almost equivalent to our classwork. Not equal, I can say, almost equivalent. So everything will be fine. So you have to work hard and you have to focus for your goal, and you'll be able to reach somewhere.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Das. It was really amazing session, YSL. We actually got so many good ideas, and definitely it was a very helpful session for the prospective candidates, especially the young researchers of the country. And thank you so much for being part of our YSL series. I also thank, Miss Komal Pandey to be with us today. And it is a great moderation, Komal.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and now I would like to hand over the stage to Dr. Nitin for introducing our next speaker, also Dr. Aditi Sharma, right? Management. Over to you, Nitin.
Yeah, so our next speaker in today's evening session is Dr. Aditi Sharma. She is an assistant professor at Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharmshala, and she will share her life journey and speak on organizational behavior, women safety, and public health. So please join the session, and see you all at 4:30.
Okay, goodbye. See you at 4:30.